What if the sport's most relentless winner suddenly swapped his crimson-blue bull for British racing green and gold? Picture Max Verstappen rolling onto the 2026 grid in a silver-piped Aston Martin powered by a brand-new Honda engine. The Dutch lion snarling from an unfamiliar lair while camera lenses fight to capture every twitch of his throttle foot. It sounds like paddock gossip, until you remember a single line buried inside his contract that could be triggered long before the summer holiday. Once the door cracks open, every domino of Formula One's future begins to wobble. Performance clauses are standard insurance for elite drivers, yet Verstappen's looked purely symbolic, until Red Bull's dominance wobbled. Last season, the RB20 slipped to third fastest, and an off-season of missed targets left the team only 8 points from falling out of the top 3. That's the magic threshold Helmut Marko lets slip in an unguarded interview. If Milton Keynes can't claw back pace by the brake, Verstappen gains full freedom. Imagine the optics. A 4-time champion holding the golden trophy in one hand while using the other to unlatch Red Bull's gate. Marko insists upgrades are coming, but the team's wind tunnel correlation issues hint at deeper trouble. Verstappen has watched giants shrink before. He debuted in 2015 just as Red Bull slumped behind Mercedes, and he knows how quickly dynasties collapse under new regs. Aston Martin's 2-year talent hunt pays off. Lance Stroll spent the past 24 months digging an F1 foundation that looks more like a tech startup than a race team. A state-of-the-art wind tunnel, a blank slate simulator suite, and an engineering exodus from rivals. The newest jewel is Adrian Newey in a consultancy role, giving Silverstone access to the aerodynamic oracle Verstappen trusts most. When Honda came knocking with a fully funded 2026 power unit project, the puzzle suddenly lacked only a superstar to pilot it. Inside Aston's campus, whiteboards label the final phase Project 33, a tongue-in-cheek tribute to Max's old race number. The plan is daring. Leverage Honda's motor, Newey's airflow, and Verstappen's racecraft to pounce when the 50-50 electric combustion rules reset the pecking order. No other team combines clean sheet facilities, fresh power, and endless cash in one place. Fernando Alonso, still defying age with reflexes that shame drivers half his age, holds a multi-year deal. Lance Stroll, shielded by family ownership, commands the second cockpit. Honda executives, however, covet outright titles, and constructors' points require 2 heavy hitters. Conversations behind Aston's glass walls have grown uncomfortable. Some sponsors quietly ask whether sentimental loyalty can survive if it costs a championship. Engineers argue a Verstappen-Alonso pairing might deliver instant telemetry synergy. Marketing gurus weigh the global clout of Max's Dutch fan army against the Canadian market Stroll helps unlock. One high-ranking insider even hinted at a contingency clause, moving Lance into a development driver/brand ambassador role if a Tier 1 champion becomes available. Nobody will confirm it on record, yet the silence speaks volumes. Toto Wolff knows star drivers drive share price, but he also values harmony. George Russell has matured into a strategic metronome, scoring top 5 finishes in every 20-25 session so far, while 18-year-old Andrea Kimi Antonelli dominates feeder series with a precocious calm reminiscent of early Verstappen. Rumours of a 2-year, $30 million extension for Russell suggest Wolff is already cementing half the lineup. Antonelli's private test mileage hints at a fast-tracking plan for the second seat. Mercedes' 2026 power unit simulations reportedly show a staggering 60% thermal efficiency, yet Toto wonders whether adding Verstappen's fierce spotlight could fracture the new pairing he's grooming. Every week, the Brackley press office delays official confirmation. The speculation wheel spins faster, but Verstappen won't wait until autumn. If Mercedes signs papers before July, Aston becomes the lone green pathway. Ask Honda engineers about Verstappen, and eyes light up. Between 2019, he hung photos of each shared victory. Koji Watanabe publicly calls Max the perfect benchmark, and dreams of reuniting under the new rules. That sentiment is mutual. Verstappen frequently praises Honda's disciplined feedback loops and their willingness to adapt engines to his high-traction exits. Early dyno whispers claim Honda's split hybrid project delivers a monstrous 350 kWh electrical deployment, critical when 2026 regulations cap fuel flow and demand longer battery stints. For Max, the proposition is seductive. The same brains that powered his first crown now wield a blank page and Aston's limitless budget. Cutting ties with that? Hard to picture. Numbers rarely lie. Over a decade, only 3 teams have won the Constructors' title without 2 consistently high-scoring drivers, and each required a car so dominant the second seat became a formality. Aston knows 2026 parity forecasts predict no runaway machines. That turns Lance's fluctuating race pace into a potential liability. Supporters point to his Bahrain surge and Spa wet weather heroics. Critics counter with weekends he qualified outside Q2 while Alonso flirted with podiums. Verstappen doesn't need a mirror teammate, but he does need someone who gathers steady points to shield strategic gambles. Lance Stroll faces a crossroads between family legacy and company valuation, because a world title spikes Aston Martin's stock far more than father-son storylines. The board's patience is finite. Milton Keynes once rose from Renault engine frustration to Honda-powered glory in 2 seasons, yet repeating that trick may prove harder under cost cap policing and an exodus of senior staff. The RB291's correlation hiccups indicated wind tunnel data no longer matches track behaviour. Newey's partial departure deprives the squad of its design compass, and internal whispers suggest that the power unit program branded Red Bull powertrains still lags Mercedes by double-digit horsepower on the dyno. Verstappen's loyalty is legendary, but his career clock ticks. Every safety car restart, he calculates probabilities. Stay and rebuild, risking 2 lean years, or leap into an outfit already primed for the reset. Fans recall Sebastian Vettel's gamble to stick with Red Bull in 2010. It ended with a winless season and an eventual Ferrari transfer. Verstappen studies history. Juan Pablo Montoya, rarely shy with opinions, told Colombian television that Aston Martin is drafting a proposal so sweet it will taste like victory champagne. The word in the paddock is a multi-year guarantee, north of $60 million annually. Profit share bonuses tied to constructors' placement, and an unprecedented clause granting Verstappen advisory input on chassis concept sign-off. Imagine Max walking the wind tunnel alongside Newey, vetoing side pod geometry, then sitting with Honda engineers fine-tuning torque curves for Turn 3 traction in Barcelona. For a driver obsessed with control, that level of influence is priceless. The risk? Minimal. If Aston stumbles, his contract reportedly includes performance reviews, opening paths to future exits after 2028. It is freedom wrapped in fortune, exactly the sort of leverage generational talents earn. As June races unwind, the chessboard clarifies. Stay loyal and muscle Red Bull back to life. Squeeze into Mercedes before the doors lock. Or ignite Aston Martin's Honda-backed super project and start the 2026 era with a head start no wind tunnel can quantify. One route promises comfort, one courts uncertainty, and the last could make Verstappen the architect of Formula One's next empire. Imagine the 2026 opener under Albert Park's floodlights. An emerald green Aston on pole, a silver arrow lurking beside it, and a wounded Red Bull clinging to row 2. The camera pans to the front row. Does the green helmet boast Fernando Alonso's samurai logo, or the blazing Dutch lion of Max Verstappen? That answer may be decided before the paddock even packs for the summer break. Because in Formula One, titles are rarely won on Sundays. They're won in boardrooms long before the lights go out. And if that thought doesn't make you glance at the calendar, remember this: July is closer than you think, and every rumour you hear tomorrow could be reality the day after.